My beloved, listen carefully. The conflict we see today between Israel and Iran, between Jews and many Arab nations, is not what the world tells you. It is not primarily a modern land dispute. It is not about borders drawn in the 20th century. It is not about oil or politics. No. This is an ancient spiritual conflict that began thousands of years ago in the pages of the Bible. And until we understand its true origin, every peace treaty, every negotiation, every political solution will continue to fail. Why? Because you cannot solve a spiritual problem with political tools. The story starts with Abraham. God made him a one-sided, unconditional promise. He said, "I will make you into a great nation. I will bless you. I will give you land and descendants as numerous as the stars." Genesis 12 and 15. It was a covenant of grace, not based on Abraham's performance. But years passed, and Abraham and Sarah had no child. Sarah was barren. Decade after decade of waiting brought doubt, frustration, and pressure. Finally, Sarah came up with what seemed like a logical, legal solution. She gave her Egyptian maidservant Hagar to Abraham. "Perhaps I can build a family through her," she said. Abraham listened to his wife instead of waiting on God. He took Hagar, and Ishmael was born. At that moment, Abraham tried to fulfill God's promise through human effort. Ishmael became the child of human striving, the fruit of doubt and self-help, and almost immediately, the family exploded. Jealousy, tension, and power struggles broke out between Sarah and Hagar. The moment Ishmael was born, peace left that household. Then God spoke again. He told Abraham that Sarah would bear a son, and his name would be Isaac. Isaac would be the child of promise, the one through whom the covenant would be carried. 2 sons, 2 completely different lines. God blessed Ishmael too. He said he would make him fruitful, and the father of 12 rulers, and a great nation. But the everlasting covenant, the land promise, and the line of blessing would go through Isaac alone. Here is what God prophesied over Ishmael. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him. He will live in hostility toward all his brothers. Genesis 16:12. Those words were not a curse of hatred from God. They were a sober prophecy of what happens when man tries to force God's plan instead of trusting his timing. From these 2 brothers came 2 distinct lines. Ishmael's descendants became the nations that settled in the Arabian region. Isaac's line continued through Jacob, whose name God changed to Israel. Later, we see another painful family conflict, Jacob and Esau. Esau, the older, sold his birthright and lost the blessing. From Esau came the nation of Edom, which also stood in repeated hostility toward Israel. What began as family drama grew into tribal conflicts, and eventually into national and geopolitical tensions that still rage today. My beloved, do you see it? The modern hatred we witness, rockets flying, threats of annihilation, ancient animosities flaring up, is the painful outworking of a 4,000-year-old wound. It is the fruit of trying to accomplish God's will through human strength instead of patient faith. In the Islamic tradition, the emphasis is placed heavily on the line of Ishmael. Many trace their spiritual and ancestral identity back to him, and even claim the greater promises belong there. In the Jewish tradition, the covenant line runs clearly through Isaac and Jacob. This difference has turned a family disagreement into a religious and existential conflict about identity, inheritance, and who carries the true blessing of Abraham. Both sides are fighting over the same ancient question: who is the rightful heir? But the Bible is clear. Only one son carried the unique covenant promise that leads to the Messiah, Jesus Christ, who came through the line of Isaac and Jacob. The other line received a different blessing and a different destiny. Here is the sobering lesson for all of us. When we grow impatient with God's timing and try to force His promises with our own schemes, we don't create peace. We create chaos, division, and long-term generational damage. Abraham and Sarah wanted a quick fix. Instead, they birthed centuries of conflict. Today, the world keeps trying the same mistake. Politicians, diplomats, and leaders believe they can negotiate peace between descendants of Isaac and Ishmael with treaties, money, or military pressure. But they are treating a deep spiritual wound with a band-aid. Until the hearts of people turn back to the God who made the original promise, true and lasting peace will remain elusive. My beloved, this conflict is not ultimately about land. It is about inheritance. It is about identity. It is about whose word stands, man's clever solution or God's unbreakable promise. The Bible reveals the root, so we don't keep repeating the same tragedy. When human beings take control and say, "I will make God's promise happen my way," division, hostility, and pain always follow. But there is hope. The same God who spoke to Abraham is still on the throne. He is the God of both Isaac and Ishmael. He still calls people from every line, Jew and Arab, Israeli and Iranian, to lay down their weapons of flesh and come to the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ. Only in Him can the ancient family feud finally find reconciliation. Only at the cross can the dividing wall of hostility be broken down. So I beg you today, do not put your hope in political solutions that ignore the spiritual reality. Look back to Genesis, see the cost of trying to help God, and choose instead to trust His perfect timing and His sovereign plan. Because when God makes a promise, He does not need human shortcuts. He only needs faithful hearts that wait on Him. Jesus lives. He is the true seed of Abraham. And one day, every knee, from the line of Isaac and from the line of Ishmael, will bow before Him. The question is, will you bow now or later? Choose wisely, my beloved. The roots of this conflict are ancient, but the solution is eternal.